This conference will now be recorded.
2021 meeting to order. Approval of minutes.
Make a motion to accept the March 17th and the special meeting April 9th minutes.
A second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes from the March 17th and the April 9th meetings. Will there be any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Changes to the agenda. Hearing none, we'll move on to presentations. Public hearing, local board of equalization. Assessor.
You got to open the hearing.
Make a motion to open a hearing on a local board of equalization and assessing.
Motion has been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion? Hearing none? Vote.
Afternoon, council. I'll start by having you sign our certification form. This is just to say that you've established a quorum. Name, attendance, signature, and then if you're certified or not. According to the list that I have, council member Stilkey is certified, and that would be the only one. There's been some that have been missed, so, okay. And just, and FYI, you're good to 2024, so we got quite a few years. One thing I do like to tell the different boards is nice to have sometimes two people certified. If council member Stilkey were to be sick or something would happen and you weren't be here, we wouldn't have a quorum because there's no certified members or voting. Sometimes it's good to have two just in case that were to happen. First thing we'll start with are any questions, appeals from any of the public, any questions, appeals that you have taken from taxpayers within the city. We'll get them squared away first if there are any. I know Darla had one call that she taken earlier in the week, a couple weeks ago. Property decline. If you want to explain that one.
She just felt that her house wasn't properly valued. There were a couple of things that were missing that she had removed that in the past few years we had been out assessing to go around once every 4 to 5 years. So I visited her last Friday and I reduced her value from 57.8 to 51.7. And she's aware of that. And so I just need your approval on that today.
This would have been a reduction on the building value itself. I believe, the deck removed.
That's been removed in the basement, has water issues, so I removed the basement.
Can either of you go through a brief summary of the impact of valuation changes to homestead exclusions?
What the exclusion does, it reduces your estimated market value. Estimated market value is just what the house is. That's what we value it. Once you have homestead, there's a formula that you apply to it, and it makes a reduction of that. The highest amount, I think it's like $418,000. It's a certain level where it produces zero exclusion. The benefit, It's somewhere in the $300s, $300, and I don't know the exact amount, but the more your house is worth, the less exclusion you get. What it does, it just takes off money from your estimated market value for your taxable market value.
So from a taxpayer's perspective, if the local government lowers the tax, but the market value goes up, that reduction may be consumed by the increase in market value, yes?
Yeah, the more your value goes up, the less exclusion you get.
Thank you.
And as far as the tier property, what we're gonna do is we're gonna propose that we accept this change. Because of the timing of it, the board will have to approve it. The value currently is $57,800. We reduce that to $51,700 to note the basement issues and removal of the deck for 2021 value taxes payable 2020.
What was the property address?
The address is 528 West Sorensen.
What was the amount again that was adjusted?
The original value, 57,800. The suggested value, 51,700. So it's $6,100 decrease in that property.
You ready for this now?
When do you need the motion?
Generally, we take all the appeals first, but being this is the only one for now, we could vote on this one, and then if there's more later, we'll just tackle it at that point.
We have a motion.
Okay. Motion to accept the adjusted market value of 51,700 for 528 West Sorensen of $51,700.
This is Heineke, I second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to take the $51,700 for 528 West Sorensen. Will there be any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
What I would like to do now, these are the residential sales for the city of Appleton for the sales period October 1, 2019 through September 30, 2020. These are the sales that we pull info from to see where the market's going and determine what, if any changes are needed. One thing I'll stress with these sales is there are going to be more sales that are going to be on here. The state has a set of guidelines and rules for sales that we would not use in the market study. Some of those would be something like family member sales, foreclosure bank sales, sales of unusual financing, or sales that don't meet the minimum value of loans. So as far as the city of Appleton goes for the sales period that we're talking about, there's 20 qualified sales for the year. When we look on the far right-hand column under the ratio, that's the numbers we're looking at as far as what our values are compared to the sales price. The median ratio, because there's an even amount, there's two of them, so we'll split that. We're looking at about 99% median on our values. Obviously, our goal is 100%, that tells us where we're on, so we're pretty close there. The state's numbers for which we have to be within being compliance is 90% to 105, so we have a little more leeway to be undervalued than we do to be overvalued. Last year, if you remember, I think we did a 5% increase on the residential values. The ratios were in the 80%, so T99 is pretty good for us. The residential market was really strong this past year. COVID didn't slow it down at all. It was better than I anticipated even. 20 sales, that's I think a pretty good amount for the city of Appleton compared to previous years. Anyway. Because of our 99% median there are few changes made to the city of Appleton as far as market changes. Every year we come out and we do reassessment, so it changes based on every. Median ratio on that, we are over, our 105 mark. We needed to make an adjustment. We brought it down 5% now. When that happens is next year when the taxes come out, there's a lot of tax base that was lost in that 5% reduction. So a lot of times when the A-line comes down, some of them tax dollars are coming more from residential property because the total tax capacity values change. So I basically would anticipate because of that, taxes to go up residentially, not necessarily city taxes, but more from the county portion of it. That takes everything into effect. Bigger portion of the pie, so to speak, will be coming compared to last year. Which is just the opposite also with Eggland. When Eggland goes up in value, then they start taking on more of the tax base. So a 5% reduction, which every year we talk with other region counties when we compare egg sales and residential sales and all that. And the last year, 2 years, a number of the other counties have been making smaller reductions, maybe 2, 3 to 5%, something like that. So we're kind of on market with them. But I would also say that just from, would be October of last year through maybe January or February, a couple of few sales we did process have been very strong early on. It might just be a one-year swing and go back the other way. But that's kind of the way things go with the markets. When one side changes, the other side feels a little bit, but they go both ways too. So. And then with ag being such a strong portion of the 85% of the total value is ag property. So a change there is kind of a big shift.
So for those listening at home, what you're describing is the proportional tax burden switch when you have to make an adjustment on the ag side.
Yeah, I mean, when any, whether it's the county, we'll use the county as an example, they need so many dollars, regardless of what the values are, this is what they need. And when one side fluctuates, they go down, so now their rate is gonna be just a bit lower because of that, so somebody else has gotta pick that up. Okay, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say it's just residential, commercial would feel the same thing, going from ag to somewhere else, whatever's making that big move. Because residential is very, it's a very small, much smaller amount of the total tax capacity compared to the ag market. When the residential changes, it doesn't affect it as much because it's a smaller portion to begin with. Ag is kind of the driver of where taxes go for Swift County.
Thank you for that explanation. It helps. Sometimes people are following it at home and it helps us. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where your value doesn't change, but because if the market changed, your taxes are going to change because of it. So I mean, lots of different factors, into what your tax is. Any questions on the sales or anything like that?
So yeah, none.
Thanks for explaining those changes and how it can affect residential, commercial rates based on the ag.
Certainly. And just a couple, I guess, office maybe updates as far as what we're doing and what's changing. County did do a flyover of all the properties to update our imagery. That was completed in the last week or two here as far as the pictures being taken and stuff. This summer, I would imagine, updated imagery would be available. If you've ever used the GIS map on the county website, the new imagery will be up, I would imagine, June or July. That'll help us with our assessing, finding things that have changed since the last flyover was done in 2018. And when we only visit the house once every 5 years, sometimes there's that lapse, something's changed, but because we're not scheduled to be there for another few years, we don't catch it. Excellent tool for us to help find those things, especially in the year like last year when COVID was happening. We weren't going in houses. We did a lot more, used it a lot more. We can measure out a bit and we'll be able to find, building garage that maybe went up or went down or things like that. Sometimes you see new siding on there. A good tool for us as far, and then we, kind of look more with the ag portion of it we're working on. Ag tillable values, adjusting the way we value them. Working on converting to a CPI to establish the value per acre based on your CPI number. What that will do is it'll give us an opportunity to make adjustments either territorially instead of countywide, or if we have.
Is that a consumer price index? Is that the
crop productivity?
Okay, thank you.
So we could make changes. Maybe we just want to do, the western half of the county. If we see some changes, we can make local changes that way. Or if we see poor quality soils that are struggling compared to what we have valued, but the high quality stuff, we're sitting good, we can make adjustments then to the lower qualities, where right now it's all or, all or none, or we'd have to do it individually. And that's thousands and thousands of parcels individually, and I guess really wouldn't be feasible, so. Hopefully we'll have that set up for the 2022 assessment. And that'll get us some more, equalized values and some more, accurate numbers too, maybe. But those are a couple of things that, as far as the office is going. Other than that, it's, we do our best to get out and, try and tighten the ranges up, equalize, and make sure we're valuing the house here and the house there the same if need be, or making the changes, sometimes that's the toughest part. You make a change on something, it's an error that happened years ago that wasn't corrected or caught. And then there's a big value change, but you don't know why. Nothing happened, nothing changed. But we run into that, and we do our best to kind of explain the situation and kind of go from there.
Alright. Well, I guess we don't have anybody else that's protesting anything, or?
Is there anybody on the phone, Emma?
No, and we provide a half an hour at least, that's what we stated, and we'll wait for that time, so if you continue your meeting and somebody shows up, I'm glad they can handle that.
Okay.
And then I guess the last thing would be if there's any questions or, anything as far as the city goes that, our office, Darla, myself, and we want to be on the lookout for this year. New constructions, maybe something's happening that in the future we can kind of plan for.
Our hospital CFO will be in touch with you. I spoke with you a little bit about it. There's some questions about valuations.
Yep.
And they're gonna need some more clarity on that. There were some changes in one of the structures estimated valuation, and we just need a little clarity on that.
Kind of, what happened.
Mhm.
Yep.
Thank you.
So other than that, if there's nothing else, I can get back to your meeting and then we'll just kind of wait and see if officials up. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Did we get the sheet back that we have to sign?
It's right here.
Okay. Right, do we need to close or are we gonna leave it open?
No,
Leave it open. Leave it open. Okay, we'll move on to public comments.
Thank you for your time and consideration. I brought some notes. It's going to be a short address, but happy to just come. There are some things that are going on in town that need to be addressed. They're at street level. We have, in this time of COVID, we have people spitting on the sidewalks, on the streets. There's been public urination. Twice I had people loiter in my side entryway, urinating, spitting, drinking, smoking, and leaving their garbage there for me to pick up. Also, there's been a problem with the trash. The guys sent out notices to people telling them to bag their trash because of the COVID. And apparently that hasn't been done because we have trash flowing all up and down the streets, all in the alleyways. Again, loitering in places, public places. We have so many beautiful parks, they really don't need to be doing that, especially on private property. And vandalism. I'm sure that there's been people noticing that we have had graffiti, broken windows, things being broken. It's just, it's two things about this. It's a biohazard in time of COVID to have bodily fluids being that and what And the trash kind of is a biohazard because you don't know what household does come out of. You don't know who's handled it, which is why Matthias sent out the notices. And to have it blowing around on the street it's unsightly and it's dangerous. And the loitering and vandalism is just, it's uncalled for. And I would love to be able to say that I thought about a solution, but I really don't know. Maybe you all are working on something. But I thought I'd bring it to your attention.
We're working on, especially with regards to the loitering. There are pockets of empty homes where people are suspected to loiter and dwell. We are taking a very aggressive approach to take some of these homes down. We're working together with the police department. We were understaffed. We have recently just hired somebody. And we're going to be taking this very seriously moving forward. Not that we haven't, but we're hyper focused on it right now. With regards to the trash, some of that Mother Nature is not helping us. I've never seen the gusts of wind I've seen here in Minnesota. And sometimes in the morning when I'm driving on garbage day, I end up picking up a couple of my neighbors' garbage because I see that they put it in place. The wind blows, here. We will do a better job with that.
Maybe advise people to properly bag their garbage before they do it.
I think this sounds like a video we can put on Facebook on how to do it.
Thank you very
All
much.
right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, this is almost a continuation of hers. I know my landlord was locking up his business at night. He used to keep it open 24, but then it got to the point where these people were spitting in the place, sleeping in the place, drinking in the place, and damaging everything in the place. Now, I don't mean to point out one specific race. They're the ones that are committing spitting all over our sidewalks, or it looks like there's orange dye everywhere. We just had it again last night in this guy's business where this guy was so high off this betel nut. He wasn't in there to do any public stuff, wash laundry. He's just in there spitting everywhere. And it's disgusting. They just vandalize whatever they feel like. And when you try and bring it up to them, they start cursing you out and calling you a racist. I've lived here for 20 years. Most of you probably lived here all your lives. I've never seen it like this. And as for the trash, they just throw their stuff wherever they want. They don't care. They just don't. And I think somebody needs to talk to one of their elders and get these people in line. Or let them know they can leave. Because I hate seeing it like this. 2% of the people are great. They're nice. They're not pigs, but some of these people have no respect for this town at all. None. And I've got pictures if you want to see them. It's disgusting. They don't care. They spit where they want, they pee where they want, they throw their beer cans wherever they want. My landlords constantly have to pick up after them. No, they don't live there. It's sad. I think somebody needs to bring it to the attention of the leader of these people and tell them to get these people in line. Have some respect. You don't own the property. If you want to do that, go home and spit in your house. I think it's just disrespectful to every business owner who has a business here.
Well, it's a situation we're working about. It's a very touchy situation. You can't just march in and change everything like that.
No, I understand that, but you come to a town and you start doing that and just no respect, when you bring it up to them, they look at you with the most contempt, like, how dare you tell us not to spit where we want? Well, I'm sorry nobody raised you with manners. That's all I got to say. And my landlord's to the point where he's about ready to just close the whole thing up.
Could you stop down to a police station tomorrow and show him those pictures that you have?
Yes.
It would do better for him than what we could do.
Yeah, because I recognized the guy who did it yesterday, and the landlord has said, yeah, go ahead, if you see him again, ban him from the place, because he wasn't in here to do laundry. This is the third time he's done this. And I told the police about it one time, they said, get his name. I don't want his name, I don't even want to know the guy.
All
I
right,
just
well,
want him banned from the laundromat. And I got the owner's approval.
all right, well, we'll see what we can do on our end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some of this is a structural matter. Landlords are encouraged to have proper management of their units and of their tenants. We'll do the very best we can to support that. My office is currently working with one of the landlords in the community that has a lot of units that has a number of tenants that may or may not be contributing to this situation. It's not a matter of one particular population of people. It's more of a matter of cultural difference sometimes and understanding. And I do agree that reaching out needs to happen to help communicate the norms of that unit, wherever they may be living, and how it relates to their neighbors. And we can try to facilitate that for you. Thank you for bringing this
I will let
concern.
him know.
Thank you so much.
Any other public comments? Hearing none, why don't we close the equalization?
Make a motion to close the local board of equalization and assessing.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to close the equalization assessing. Will there be any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to new business. Appliance cleanup.
Right before we get into that, Emma, can you turn down the speakers a little bit so we don't get the feedback? Is that possible unless there's somebody that wants to talk? You know, to us through the,
I'll turn it down here at the main one.
Right. sorry.
No, that's fine. Okay, appliance cleanup.
Yeah. After we discussed this on our previous meeting on the cleanup of appliances and white goods, we'll call them, I talked to the mayor and I talked to my son, Michael Borsted. And we have decided that Dan will bring in, Mr. Mayor, will bring in skid loader, his dump truck and personnel. And my son, Michael, will bring in a skid loader, his side dump and personnel. And we will pick this up for free with no charge to the residents. We will dispose of it with no charge to the city. The only thing I'd like to see is the city pay for an ad.
Pay for what?
An ad.
Oh, yeah.
Ad in the paper, you know, I think we can bust for that. And we'd like to do it twice. We're running short for this month. And so I'd like to do it on, you know, 1 week and then wait a week and then pick it up the following week. The residents would be responsible for getting their white goods, we'll call it, out to the boulevard and put it on the boulevard. So that all they have to do is drive up and down the street, load the stuff up and then haul it out. And if they miss it the first time, we'll give them the second time.
But just so we specify what the goods are too, I mean, we gotta make
Yeah.
sure it says in the ad that we're not getting things that we can, you know, no TVs, computers. I mean, it isn't electronics or whatever it is that we, you know.
But like a
whatever we
fridge, a
can take it-
microwave?
Whatever we could take at the dump ground before for refrigerators and washing machines and that type of things.
How about a microwave?
Don't-
No, mic, that's electronic. Okay. Hmm.
Stoves, refrigerators, water heaters, deep freezes, air conditioners, stuff like that.
Okay.
And we have a person that will take it. And we told them that we would haul it directly to them. So, like I say, no cost to the city. We're just gonna help the residents out.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you to the volunteers that are gonna
Do
go out
we
and
need to
do
make
this.
that a motion, or can we do that without, I mean, there's no involvement with the city if we do it, correct?
No, I mean, my office can just go ahead and put the ad together.
Okay, is it an issue? Do you need copies of our liability insurance to do this in our
No.
streets or not?
Because you're doing it privately. It's not a city venture. You've just asked for the city to pay for your ad,
Okay.
and I'm able to do that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mike, and everybody else that's gonna be involved. It's a great service to the city and their citizens to clean up their properties and their homes and the town.
All right, moving on then, resolution 2021-11, ordinance, Otter Tail ordinance.
Hello, good evening. My name is Cindy Essington. I'm a customer service manager out of Lebanon, Morris. Eric, I'm actually here with me tonight too, the operations manager out of Morris. So basically I'm here just, I don't know, Millie, I know I sent you a copy of the ordinance, that's you've seen the ordinance, or I do have copies if you do want a copy. So basically I'm here, we're just looking at renewing the franchise ordinance that was put in place back in 2001. At that time it was a 20-year ordinance. Basically I'm looking into another partnership with the city itself, doing another 20 year. Is it all possible? Basically the franchises are non-exclusive. They say it allows Otter Tail Power basically to construct, operate, and maintain and repair the distribution and transmission lines within the city. And then also furnishing electric, basically allowing public ways and public grounds as well. Just a little bit of what we've basically been doing with the Otter Tail office. We've had a lot of changes. We actually are retiring coal plant here, like here this summer as well. So we're kind of moving to more renewable energy as well. Basically by 2022, we will be 30% renewable generation. So we have a lot of changes. Right now, this summer we'll be energizing a gas station. It'll be actually a natural gas plant. It'll be starting up in June, I believe, or sometime this summer is the plan. So just something that we've been doing here. As to the franchise agreement, it is very similar to the one that was done 20 years ago. The only thing that was added is there is a wording in there. Franchise fee, some cities like to do that. I'll tell you most of them don't. That is if there's a rollover charge. That basically it's not a charge that's too long. It's basically a charge that you have to be implementing. But otherwise, that pretty much the franchise is pretty much the same as what it was 20 years ago. Does anyone have any questions at all regarding the franchise?
So with this ordinance, it's the same thing with the exception of the franchise fee language. Reason I haven't recommended one way or the other is because unlike our MediaCom franchise fee, MediaCom is not a necessity. This is a utility, and they are our partners with just about everything we do in the community. So there's no cut by just going forward with it. And it's non-exclusive, so just because they're there doesn't mean that we wouldn't be able to do other functions with it.
I can maybe just share a few things operationally. So as Cindy said, I'm American operations manager for what we call our Morris CSC, which is 50 small communities down this way. I grew up in Appleton here actually, but we just heard of full taxes. Otter Tail's a big taxpayer for both Swift County and for Appleton. Appleton's about $130,000 a year. For the county's about $270,000 to $280,000 a year. So I think we're good neighbors that way. We've spent roughly $300,000 in town the past year just on our major upgrades and replacements. Big portion of that was lighting. You know, the Main Street project was a little over $100,000. And then we did, LED upgrades and all the lights throughout town. Couple of improvements, I would say, on the north end of town, we have a lot of underground, and we have some longer outages in the last year. We're loop feeding a lot of that, so we can have multiple sources of energy there. Many of you probably experienced the long outage on January 15th. That was about a 4-hour outage. So Appleton is really well positioned, and we have 3 different sources coming into town in the transmission system. However, the substation in town is owned by MRES, and their maintenance agreement is through Great River Energy. And Great River Energy is a very good company, and MRES does a nice job too, but they don't have any employees here at home. So we had a little bit of a challenge there because they had a bus failure in the substation. Their linemen are about an hour away, and then their substation techs are actually on Elk River, Minnesota. So a long ways away, and it was a bad day that day, weather-wise. So we made some phone calls, and they said, well, we're gonna be there for 2 hours. And okay, well, we'll wait 2 hours. We had some other things going on anyway, and then those 2 hours were up, and we were told, yep, we'll be there in 2 hours. Wasn't very optimistic, I guess we'll say, for lack of a better word there. And so we started making some more calls saying, we've got qualified people. Can we go in there? We're pretty sure we know what's going on. We eventually got the approval to work through their dispatch center, and our people were able to go in and make those repairs. So 4-hour outage was much longer than we would have liked it to be. I think we did a lot of good work to make it actually was though in that regard. So we apologize for that. There are some limiting factors, we got to work well with our neighbors too. So any questions on anything else operationally that I might go answer?
No, that day was difficult, but I knew who to call. Eric told me, Willie, I'm having a bad day today, Willie. And I knew exactly when the light was going to come on. Another thing I'd like to mention, Lori Moxness from Otter Tail. If there is a rebate for us, she will find it. And everything that we're doing at the wastewater plant and at the water plant, there are many rebates that we qualify for, which we're all working together, huddling together to find as many savings for this community as possible. And Otter Tail, thank you guys for your partnership in that.
Yeah, that'd be true.
We're very proud of that rebating system and energy management.
There's a lot of people taking advantage of that. Just maybe you could you get some kind of a contract with them, or if that substation's like that and they can't get here, you guys could work with them, or?
So in the past, we actually were the maintenance provider for MRES. We won't get into the details of that, but we do have some working agreements with GRE, and we're working to strengthen those.
Okay. Well, I can imagine how maddening it is when you're sitting there and you can go in and fix it.
Yeah, we knew what was wrong and how to fix it.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion to adopt resolution 2021-11 to grant Otter Tail Power Company with non-exclusive franchise for the maintenance and operation of electrical distribution system and transmission lines within the city of Appleton.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded for the agreement with Otter Tail. Will there be any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I will need, since approved, I don't know if you want to do this now, if you want to mail it to me. I will get more copies, but I will need all 4 signed by.
Yep.
You can do it
to the city council, to the city clerk, and we'll get that to you, wet copies in the mail.
Perfect, yep. And then just so you know, what'll happen is once I receive that back, then I will send it out to our office in Fergus Falls for acceptance. Once I get the acceptance back, then I'll let you know, really, because I'll need to meet back with you, just to sign the acceptance and everything, and then we'll go ahead and publish and everything with you for our cost. So,
Thank you. And thank you, Lori, for listening.
thank you as well.
Yep, thank you. Bond refunding issue. All right, good to see you again.
Hello.
Yeah, sounds like I was just here.
Yeah.
Well, Mayor and Council, we have a resolution for your consideration this evening providing for the issuance of sale of $2,370,000 in general obligation to funding
So we did hold a sale this morning, happy to report that. So you'll recall when we discussed the refunding issue, so there's two issues here, two series of bonds that we're looking to refund, our 2013 A series and 2014 A. When we talked last month, we were estimating a total savings of $243,000 and change, where we ended up with $283,880. And we have set that minimum savings threshold at 200, so well above that. You do have a sales summary that's before you. I'll just walk through that really quickly. If you've got any questions, let me know. So the proceeds here will be used to refund the 13A series and the 14A series. The 13A was used for improvements and then also for the community swimming pool, and then the 14A series is related to the hospital and nursing. The bonds have been structured to result in relatively level annual savings according to the existing structure of the two series of bonds. So we haven't accelerated any debt or changed the structure in any way, really just capturing interest savings here. The security on the bonds will be tax abatements, net revenues of the hospital and nursing home, and then ad valorem taxes. So a debt service levy where appropriate. We did do a negotiated sale today, so Northland is serving as the underwriter for the city's bonds. The bonds were non-rated. You've got a final maturity year of 2033 and then an optional call feature beginning December 15th of 2029. The par amount is $2,270,000, and we had discussed this last time. You're at $2,370,000. There was some premium received on the bond, also may recall from last year we had premium then too. So we use that to downsize the bond ultimately. Your all-inclusive cost here is 1.73%. The true interest cost is 1.61%, and again, the savings here is 283,886. And then on a present value percentage basis, we're at 9.95. And again, we talked about this last time, but when we're considering whether or not we want to move forward with refunding, we want to see at least 10% savings. So getting into that 10% range is really nice. And then you've got some schedules here to go along with the sale results. All of this information will be provided to the city in detail in the transcript. But this is really just a snapshot here. So you've got the two portions, the 13A and the 14A. So the sources and uses at the top. You've got your pricing summary. So this is kind of where the premium gets factored in. So the coupon or the stated interest rate of the bond is 2%. What that means is investors are willing to give you additional cash up front so that you get a higher coupon, but then that way you the bond. So the yield, the fourth column from the left, is where you want to pay particular attention. So we've got an ascending rate here starting at 0.25% and going up to 1.7% for the rate. The comparison and overall debt service can be found on page 4. So you've got the new debt service versus the old, there's that 283,885.7 and then on the following pages, we've got those debt service schedules essentially broken out. So for the 13A series, the total savings here is $75,513. What that means is that ultimately on an annual basis, the city will be saving around $6,200, which would be that. On the next page will be the 14A, so this is related to the hospital and the nursing home. Its total savings is $208,372.28, and that's about $16,000 per year in total savings there. And then the last few pages, a couple of schedules, the combined schedule, and then the schedules again, broken out separately. And then for the reading and writing of this discussion, the local issuance will send out in Minnesota this week, and then some intermediate trends on that. With that, I'm happy to take any questions that we may have, and of course, we extend our congratulations to the council on the successful refunding.
So just for those listening at home, we established a threshold of 200K net savings in order to issue. We estimated 240, and we actually were able to issue with a net savings of $283,000. That's fantastic.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You got to keep coming back here. This is great. I mean, every time we see you, we're just saving all kinds of money. This is great.
In 18 months then, we've had about 2 issuances. So that's somewhere near $600,000 savings we brought to this community already.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Willie and I were talking a few weeks back, and when we initiated the refunding last year, it was right when the pandemic was kicking off. I remember we met over at the hospital and we were listening to that presentation about the one pandemic maybe, and that was when it really came into me how serious it was going to get. And yeah, we've had a wild year, and here we are.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. So we need to motion that.
Motion to adopt resolution 2021-12 in the issuance and sale of $2,370,000 general obligation refunding bonds since series 2021A. Thank you.
Motion, do we have a second? Motion's been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope it's not snowing on the way back.
All right, moving on.
Don't worry about the snow, watch for the beer.
Resolution 2021-13 Airport Minnesota DOT grant.
Motion to adopt resolution 2021-13 authorizing the execution of a MnDOT grant agreement for airport improvement.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion?
Just for those listening at home, this is the resolution allowing for my office to go ahead and execute the agreement with the state for the grant that we're receiving to do improvements over in the airport. This grant is in the amount of $683,000. And it covers 95% of the cost. The city pays 5% of the cost.
Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Airport agreement.
MnDOT wants us to vote on the agreement itself too, just to be clear.
Motion to authorize the mayor and the city administrator to execute the grant agreement between the city of Appleton and MnDOT.
Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Hearing the conditional use permit, Glacial Plains.
Looks like Glacial Plains wants to add on to their existing facility out there for propane tank.
Yep.
Looks like they've got plenty of room out there. There's really nothing else around it that could or would be affected.
I don't see anything right now, but right now, what you guys are making a decision on is to establish a hearing. And then they'll come and they'll speak with you in person. So there's 2 conditional use permits and 1 variance request, all of which need a hearing date. That would be for May 19th.
Motion to set hearings for the conditional use permits, Glacial Plains, Allen Tonak, and variance requests for Bob Emery to the May 19th, 2021 regular meeting of the Appleton City Council.
Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Will there be any other discussion? We'll take care of all that at the next one then. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Fairgrounds building permit fees.
Motion to reduce the building permit for the Swift County Fair Board from $3,637.69 to $1,523.94.
Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
We have discussion afterwards.
Yeah, you gotta have discussion. Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion?
Yep. So as your neighbor, I understand wanting to facilitate and support nonprofits and charitable events. As your city administrator, I have to uphold equitable application policies for everyone. That said, our building permit is composed in this case of a planned check fee, which pays for the building inspector's pay. Because what the city pays him is $300 a month, is that correct? The rest would come from his planning fee. The permit fee is what the city makes. If the city council would like to forgive something, that is the larger part of that. $3,637 is $2,113.75. That's something that you would be able to forgive. The surcharge is actually the state's money. So when it comes to the planning check fee, which pays for the building inspector's work, and then the state's fee, the surcharge, that's something I'm not sure we have the authority to forgive on the state side. So the difference when taking what we more or less have to pay from what we can earn, the permit fee itself, it's that $1,523.94.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I understand they're a nonprofit, but I don't believe that we're looking at $2,100 that we should get really in the habit of cutting that much money off of building permit when the citizens in town would have to pay the full amount. I'm just not excited about doing that personally.
Well, the reason I'm kind of, my opinion is for it is because it's adding on to the Chuck Brown Memorial Building, which is set up. Now they're doing it for the gentleman that died that was on the fair board again. They're totally doing the money, they're getting the money totally by donations. And it's a good cause. They're a good adversary for us. As a Swift County Fair, they bring a lot of money in for 3 weeks, a week prior to the fair, during the fair, and after the fair. And I don't know, our goal is to make our fairgrounds one of the best in the community. So my feeling is, I mean, that would be our donation as a city of Appleton to the memorial project for, Montana. Smith was what was his real name? Eric Smith, or Montana was his nickname, but was a great adversary for the fair. And that's the reason that I would vote to waive our share of it.
I think you mean advocate, not adversary.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd like to agree with Mr. Mayor. I do. I think the Swift County Fair brings a lot to this town. I realize, like if I was to build onto my garage or need a conditional use permit, I'd be having to pay the full fee for the building permit. But I'm not bringing to the town what they would normally do. And this is a good cause. Chuck Brown did a lot for this area. So as far as the building, I'd really appreciate that. Also, the people of the fair board, I've heard it from them personally, are very appreciative for what the city of Appleton does for them. So I would like to just give a little bit back.
I'd like to forgive it all too, but according to Willie here, maybe we probably should not do that. We have certain things that have to get paid.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll
I wish we
understand
could
that.
forgive it all. I mean, honestly, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to possibly do that legally. So,
But according to Willie, if they pay the 1523, what it has to be paid will be
Yep.
paid.
Yep.
Yeah, so we ain't forgiven the whole thing.
Yeah, we're basically giving up $2,100.
Right.
Any other discussion?
We're not giving it up, we're investing it.
There you go. Fair enough.
All right. And I respect your guys' opinion. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you in terms of, granted, the memorial part, I'm all for. Being a former business owner in town, I can tell you that the fair actually hurts businesses when it's going on. It really slows down for a lot of the retail places. They might as well lock the doors during the fair.
Yep.
So, so I'm a little bit torn. I support the memorial side of it. I don't agree with the city getting into giving breaks to a big organization like that. And I understand they're getting all from donations. It's not my position in this matter. So I'm just going to disagree with you guys and it'd be what it is.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
They can't say you always agree.
Well, you'll find that I don't always agree a lot.
Ambets, Red Bull, flags along highway discussion.
My office received information, and Mr. Boer said you were going to speak about him, about the vets.
Yeah, they back when the guard unit got deployed to Iraq, they came to us for a donation to put the Red Bull flags up on the highway, partial or whatever. And at that time, we said that we would pay for the whole thing. They bought extra flags, but we weren't charged for those. We just paid for the ones on the highway. And I would like to do that again. Pay for the flags that are put on the poles that run through the highway. There's approximately, I think, about 20 of them. I don't know what the price is, so I mean, I wish somebody would have been here.
Is it possible maybe we can have them make a meeting to meet with me so I can help them with this?
Yeah, I can, I've had a couple of them talk to me, so.
Yeah, I know these couple of weeks, we've been real busy
Yeah.
doing a lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
they've come in, because I have an open door policy. Anybody can tell you it's open, you just come in. But maybe that hasn't been the case this couple of weeks because I've been just so busy. But please encourage them to come by the office. I will help them in any way that I can.
Yeah, I will do that.
All right. Resolution 2021-14, first quarter gifts and donations.
Motion to adopt resolution 2021-14, accepting gifts and donations for the first quarter of 2021.
Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Will there be any discussion? What does this pertain to? Do we need to inform the public or?
It's both, we're saying thank you for these donations and we have to accept them. As a municipality, if you get anything, you have to accept it. And then the auditors next year, when they're auditing this year, they say, hey, where'd you get that?
Okay.
We authorized it.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Resolution 2021-15. Here, Officer Kelsey Hurley.
Motion to adopt resolution 2021-15, requesting that Officer Hurley be accepted as a member of the Public Employees Police and Fire Plan.
I second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion?
This is basic HR for our type of statutory city. When an officer gets hired, we make the request that para accept them as a peace officer so that they get the tier that corresponds to that type of public servant.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Casey's off sale liquor license.
Motion to approve Casey's General Store retail off sale liquor license.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion?
Have they had this before? This is just an ongoing thing? Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Highway grant, UMVRCD contract for services.
This is the Minnesota Historic Department. There's a byway that accounts the history of the Sioux tribe throughout our community, our state rather. And every year we serve as a pass between for them to use and administer these funds from the state. This is, every year we have to do this paperwork in order for them to administer and coordinate those funds and that program.
Motion to authorize the city administrator to execute the contract for a byway grant coordination consultant service with the UMBRDC.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Fire Department application, David Tweeten.
Motion to accept application from Mr. David Tweeten for employment with the Appleton Fire Department.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sale of 501 West Tilkey to Carl family pursuant Minnesota statute 412.211 for $73.65. Demolition.
The county commissioners sold us this property for the intention of it to be torn down because it's blighted, it's poor condition. The law allows us, as you see there, to sell the property. In this case, the commissioners authorize us and sold us property for it to be torn down. The Carl family is here and they're offering to purchase it and do the demolition on their own. So the $73.65, that's what the city got charged from the county recorder's office. So that's what we're charging them.
You guys accepting the responsibility of tearing down that property or tearing down that building within 30 days of today's meeting?
If possible.
I suppose that would be getting the paperwork cleared up so that it gets into your name and that stuff. We couldn't do it till then, I presume.
They can start working on it now.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I would really like is there possibility, 60 days, this thing's got to be done. To set a precedence going for the future rather than leaving it open and end or I don't want this to be an open door for us in the future that they sold it and then it doesn't happen.
Well, it says 30 days here.
Where does it say 30 days? In the motion?
It may be
Continuation.
flip on the page, yes, under.
Within 30 days of today's meeting.
Okay, the demo to remove. Okay, I apologize, but
And they took care to go ahead and get 2 quotes. The next step
yeah,
for them,
I went out, they did that. Yeah.
if they would, once the property, the city council, if they vote for this transaction, you want to benefit from that program, the reimbursement program, as I discussed with you earlier. Whatever quote you go with, if you choose to go with the higher one, the difference between the two will be factored into the reimbursement amount that we give you. If you want to use the permit by rule site, which I encourage you to do, we need you to go ahead and get an inspection for asbestos and then provide us proof that you mitigated that asbestos. Okay. In this case, the city of Appleton is not paying for the demolition, which is just as good because we're paying for a lot of other demolitions. So we thank you for taking this on and being responsible neighbors.
So at this time, I'd like to make the motion to sell parcel 22-0894-000 for the amount of $73.65 pursuant to the authority granted to municipalities by Minnesota statute 412-211 to the Carl family on the condition that the structure located upon said parcel is demolished and all debris is removed within 30 days of today's meeting.
I'll second that.
Did you want to say something, Vicki?
I did. My biggest thought right now is to get a dumpster, to get it cleaned out. For us, that's going to be kind of iffy right now, as far as if we can even get one, if there's anything available. And the time to clean it up. So I'm thinking 30 days, I'm hoping, yeah, we can do it in that 30 days.
I think we can.
Well, you know, there's circumstances that are beyond your control.
I think if you got in touch with you, I mean, you could be kind of our eyes and ears on that part of it. I mean, if it,
You could possibly get them an extension at the next meeting, Willie.
By the time we got to the next meeting, they may have already been done.
I'm hoping so.
Right.
But if you come to my office as you have, I will work with you. You have nothing to worry about.
yeah, I mean, we'll work with you if it's, you know, I mean, that's.
What's the problem? I mean, we don't get it in 30 days, but I mean,
No,
No,
okay.
no.
no. It just means that I'll ask you where you are at the process.
But please do your due diligence to try to
For sure.
meet that timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
We really do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I gotta sneak and use the bathroom.
Okay.
Please here inside this thing.
I'd like to get rid of these things soon.
I apologize for that. I've been outside all day and to wear this mask inside about since. Purchase policy threshold.
We voted the last one?
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Thank you.
Motion to pay the city of Appleton's insurance renewal invoice in the amount of $75,169 for the 2021 annual period.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to old business. 136 Mile Street, hazardous building.
The owners were given time by this council to be here today and show a plan. Said plan was to involve procuring some quotes, which identified a priority in which repairs should be made in order for the building to possibly be moved out of that hazard building status. The owners are not here. In the interim, since our last meeting, all owners were sent a letter, certified letter of said plan, reminding them of what's at stake. So
Have they reached out to you, Willie?
Huh?
Have you had any talks with them since the last meeting?
yes, they've come into my office, two of the owners, the Ripple family, and we went through almost a complete complement of Minnesota Statute 463. The process was explained. The letter that was sent to them was read with them. Their questions were answered. They did express that they were having difficulties finding quotes, which I understood, and I asked them to document proof of their difficulty finding a quote. So I said, put together a list of the contractors that you're calling at the very least to present to the city council. But here we are and they're not present.
I feel like it's time to move on to our next step then. If they didn't show up today, and with that, I'd like to motion authorize the office of the city administrator to direct the city attorney to request an administrative search warrant from other courts to propose the gaining access of the property to have another inspection performed to confirm the findings of the city building inspector. Motion authorized that the office of the city administrator.
So wait, that was the first motion. You guys have to vote on that one.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
There you go.
Motion to authorize that the office of the city administrator direct the city attorney to create an order whose content shall recite the grounds thereof, specifying the necessary repairs, if any, and provide a reasonable time for compliance, and shall state that a motion for summary enforcement of the order will be made in the district court of the county unless consecutive action is taken or unless an answer is filed within 20 days of service.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
The order shall be served upon the owner of record, the owner's agent, if an agent is in charge of the building or property, and upon the occupying tenant, if there is one, and upon the lien holders of the record in the manner provided for the service of the summons in the civil action. If the owner cannot be found, the order shall be served upon the owner by posting it on the main entrance of the building or on the conspicuous place of the property, and by the 4 weeks publication in the official newspaper of the city.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
The copy of the order with proof of service shall be filed with the court administrator of district court of the county not less than 5 days prior to the filing of a motion pursuant to Minnesota statute section 463.19 to enforce the order. At the time of filing such order, the city shall file for record with the county recorder or register of title a notice of the pending or the proceeding describing with reasonable certainty the land affected and the nature of the order. In the proceeding be abandoned, the city shall within 10 days thereafter file with the county recorder a notice of that effect.
Motion has been made. Will there be a second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
So essentially, to summarize for those following at home, Minnesota statutes 463, 16 through 19 talk about the process. An order must be made, the order must be served, and then a copy of the order will be filed with the county court administrator to move forward with enforcement. An administrative warrant will be sought to access the property to confirm the findings of the building inspector. Those findings will inform the order, which again will be served and then filed with the court to enforce. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Closed session negotiations strategy pursuant Minnesota statute 13D.03.
A second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will there be any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
No, don't go too far. This one.
This conference will now be recorded.
Close the closed session and go into open session.
Second that?
Motion's been made and seconded to close closed session and open and discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
I don't think the motion's been read, has it?
No.
Okay, I'm going to read that motion. Motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement between the city of Appleton and the Office and Professional Employees Interaction or International Union Local 12 AFL CIO.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the bargaining agreement. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
There is Amber.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, I know the office has really been pushed here lately. I just want to thank the office staff for giving it 120% here. All those interviews and trying to hire people. I know you guys are voted up. So thank you guys for all your hard work.
I'd like to just state too, that I'm very impressed with the money that's been saved by our administrator in the city office in the last 18 months is pretty extraordinary. Just I hope people realize and appreciate it.
No doubt. It's a huge amount of money.
Do we have a motion? Suppose I should have my mic on, huh?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have two motions to adjourn. Do we have 1 second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries.
Good evening, Appleton.